We know that drones have become fairly consequential in the war for lots of reasons. You can get massive volume for very low cost. They can just arrive, from nowhere and do all sorts of what might appear minor damage, but from a battle point of view can significantly disrupt things. We've got sort of high tech at the front end of this, getting us into all sorts of amazing technology of war. Then you got this story, which is basically taking us back to medieval times, because what they've done, I know you've got some film of this, Sean, they've strapped a couple of shotgun barrels to a drone, and it's taken sort of pop shots at literally everything.
I just think this is a fascinating story. It sounds like something you'd read about in a comic. Got high-tech drones. No, we're going to strap on a couple of big 12-bore shotguns onto these things. And the footage will show demonstrates that these drones with the shotguns seem to be shooting down Russian drones. In other words, because you've got, unlike a gun which fires a bullet and it's really difficult to hit a drone, if you're firing a shotgun, it's obviously got a spread pattern. It's a lot easier to take out a drone. I think you'd heard reports that they were also shooting people on the ground with these things as well. I think what I find fascinating is a couple of things. One of which is that the drones technology seems to be evolving so fast at the moment that we, but I also think that it's very reminiscent of World War One. And what I say that is that drones initially were flying and eyes over the battlefield, so they would be able to see what's happening and guide Ukrainian or Russian artillery shells in. In World War One, they put up balloons with observers to do exactly the same thing. In World War One, then, to try and shoot down your enemy's balloons, they put up the early biplanes, and the biplane would go pottering off at 60 knots, go towards the balloons with their pistol in their hand and try and shoot down the balloon. Meanwhile, the balloon would be dragged down by the folks on that side of the line. So now what drones are doing is they are trying to shoot each other out of the sky. Initially the World War One fighters were then dropping hand grenades on the enemy trenches in World War One. That's exactly what the drones have been doing. And in an effort to stop your enemy doing the same, you'd launch your aircraft up and they'd have a handgun fight. This is almost like deja vu. It's 100 years, but the drones are doing that same level of evolution.
It's like a video game in a way.
It is, but it's just
difficult to aim. Where would the aiming be done, Sean? So would the aiming be done by the drone, or would there be somebody on the ground aiming and firing?
I mean, ultimately, you'd probably use AI to aim it. I think if from the video footage we've seen, there is a bit of a head-up display going on. So there are some lines and some numbers. I don't want to get into what they may or may not mean, but it's pretty evident that the drone operator will know that if you're firing, they'll have worked out that if you're firing the guns at a certain range, here's the cross where the centre of that spread pattern will be. Now, of course, if you fire a gun, the shot drops off pretty quickly. So the further your target is away, the shot will drop away. So gravity will affect it. So therefore, if you're going to hit the target and you're further away, you need to aim up a bit so it drops onto the target, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you don't get fire with a shotgun anyway. Anything above 100 yards, I mean, it varies by gun to gun, but I got some experience of shotguns. But of course, a drone is a very fragile, lightweight bit of engineering, and the blades are very fragile, and they're not built to withstand anything. So you only want a couple of pellets.
No, and also it's a really good point that actually, but if a drone was 100 meters away, the limit of a shotgun, you probably can't see it. It's quite difficult to see. You need to be within 10, 20 meters of a drone, as we're seeing from the footage, and therefore
telescope it.
Yeah, so you can find it or hear it, drive towards it. As soon as the drone's now picked it up, puts the drone on that cross, and we're seeing, witness 3 of these drones being taken out pretty quickly. And I think it's just fascinating to see. Who'd have thought drones are all about light? You want light sensors, a little, camera, a small hand grenade. Who thought, right, let's strap on 2 big barrels of shotgun, which must weigh a huge amount, but we're going to take out a few of the enemy drones. And it's just a really exciting cycle of measures, countermeasures, and I think this is happening so fast. And that's the lesson, I think, for the future. It's not, in the Cold War, we used to be constantly developing new electronic warfare, and then the enemy would do the same, and we'd be doing, but it would take months, sometimes years for those development. We're not seeing months and years, we're seeing days, even hours on the battlefields of Ukraine. And I think that's what's most impressive about this particular bit of footage.
Yeah, they go to bed one night and they wake up with a different gun
Absolutely right.
the following day, and it's a victimless crime.
Yeah.